Lisa Stansfield, hello.
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 How are you?
I'm good. It's so nice to meet you.
Oh, finally.
Finally, yes. And we were thinking where we would do this. So we thought we'd come out into Manchester. The skyline is there for you.
Beautiful.
Manchester girl. Try to arrange some sunshine.
No, that's not going to happen, is it?
It's not happening. So we come inside, but with the skyline here. And we were just mentioning that Granada, next door here, obviously the big institution of Manchester, and that's where it all kind of began for you as well back in the day.
Well, I did a talent show in Manchester in a little club. Everyone thinks it was like the X Factor on TV and everything. It was in a tiny little club, and I won. And one of the judges was Johnny Hamp, who was the head of light entertainment at Granada. And so, I mean, I'm a 14-year-old kid, and this guy comes up to me and my mum, who's there at the time. He said, "Oh, I'd like you to come along to Granada Television and do some work." So it's like, oh, all right then. You know, and that was it. And the first time that I did any work on TV was there, in that building. And they're going to knock it down soon.
I know.
I'm a bit sad.
But a big part of your life, that's where it all began.
I was only 14 when I walked in that building.
Wow.
And Pat Phoenix, Elsie Tanner,
who
who was on the first episode, she was coming out as I was going in with my mum. And I was so nervous. And I just looked up and she was there. And it was like one of my mum's mates. You know, no, it was really weird because she comes into your house at the time, like 2 times a week or whatever it was. And so I go, "Hiya, how are you doing?" And my mum was mortified. But I was so nervous that I didn't realise that I was saying hello to one of the most famous people in the country.
Yeah, and that was when you were 14.
Yeah, 14. So, and I was desperately sort of grasping at what I was doing because I'm thrown in, and I always have been thrown in at the deep end. And I shouldn't say it because people keep doing it to me.
But Search for a Star was the X Factor of its day. I mean, you won, didn't you? You won the show.
Yeah, I won. It wasn't a big deal, really. It was just a Manchester talent show. It was just the Manchester Evening News did it all. Right. And actually, the Manchester Evening News this is still, right, they still use the picture that they used from that thing. And I've asked them and asked them and asked them, and they never ever do it.
Fantastic.
Because they're just lazy, aren't they?
I'm going to take you back to those days, though, because you came first, but I love who came second on that show.
Yeah. The guy who came second was Sean Ryder's dad.
Brilliant.
And he was a comedian. He used to be a comedian. And I did this thing in Brazil called Rock in Rio, which is a massive thing that happens, I think, every 1 or 2 years. I don't know whether they still do it. And the Happy Mondays were doing this festival. So Sean Ryder comes up to me, like we're in the middle of Rio, like Ipanema Beach, Copacabana Beach, and he says, "My dad hates you." And I said, "Why?" Because I didn't know that his dad had come second. I didn't know it was Sean Ryder's dad.
Yeah.
And I just said, "Why?" And he said, "Because you came first and he came second."
Brilliant.
And it's like, you know, it's a bit of a joke now, but at the time you just went, "Yeah, he really didn't like you." I like this young pipsqueak.
Yeah, coming in, muscling in.
Taking his throne.
Yeah, wow. Well, it's 30 years, isn't it, of you being in the music industry this year. I mean, that's good going, Lise, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not dead yet. I've not gone mad.
But when you look back to those days, is it a whirlwind? Is it? I mean, do you still have memories of back in the day of the Manchester music scene and stuff like that?
Yeah, I remember before it all happened, And I didn't go very often because it was a massive deal. It was a big deal to go to the Hacienda if you're from Rochdale. And if they get any whiff of a Rochdale accent, you're not coming in.
Is that how it was?
So you just keep your mouth shut. And when I first walked into the Hacienda, it was like, I suppose, it's like being in an adult fairy tale, really. And it was unbelievable, the way that it was done. No, I've never seen anything like it in my life before, and it was beautiful. And it was all sort of based on, you know, New York and all that sort, which Manchester has an affinity with New York. If you look at, there's a lot of filming goes on here, but absolutely unbelievable to go to the Hacienda. And if you were a person who was privileged enough to be around at the time, it was just like nothing will ever happen again like that, ever.
And it's one of those things where if you go back to 89, you know, it's for you, you're not only an artist, but you are, you know, you write the songs as well, which
is difficult.
It is.
Because
I mean,
if you're cute and you're a girl, and you know, you're real great pop star material, people don't want you to write your own songs, and you have to fight. I have had to fight a lot to retain what I am. It's very, very difficult in a business like this to still be yourself.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of fighting, and a lot of people don't like you for it, but they will always respect you for it.
Because in those days, you know, you weren't sort of plucked from a show. It was you were the artist, and I suppose record companies back in those days wanted to mould them.
Every time, because it's whatever is going on at the time. Yeah. So the thing that you always have to convince people of is, this is not shit. It's just new. It's just new. And once they trust you, or all you need to do is get someone to listen to a track 3 times. Like most people will listen to a track and they'll turn it off after 20 seconds because they know nothing about it. So it's a constant fight to get past that 20 seconds. And once you do it, it's a breeze. But it is just a real constant fight.
Was the Cold Cut the sort of launch pad for you?
Oh God, yeah, definitely. I mean, and it was beautiful because it was a natural thing. Yeah. So it's like, because Ian and Andy, we were a band called Blue Zone, and I still work with Ian. I'm married to Ian. But because we'd sort of been involved with Cold Cut already, Ian and Andy had done like horns on their stuff, and I'd sort of just been the girl hanging about. Really. But we said, why? Because they said, we've got some studio time, free studio time, which was like gold dust. Yeah. And they said, should we just like go in? Because we could go in at like sort of, I think about 8 in the evening, and we had till about 3 or 4 in the morning. And so we just used to go in every night but I don't know how long a period of time, and just doss around basically and see what happened. And People Hold On came out of that.
And that was such a great song.
Yeah, and we didn't. Oh, that was what I'd done. I'd done their album, What's That Noise? I'd done a track on their album called Telephones. So we'd all got used to working together anyway. But no, we didn't. We really didn't think anything was going to happen with it. And we decided to put it out. And I think it went to 11 in the charts. I'm not very good on things like that, but I remember that. Yeah, and we didn't think that anything was going to happen, and it just did. Yeah. And that was it. That was it.
That was the explosion, wasn't it? That was it. And
yeah.
From there, all around the world.
And then I never got off an aeroplane or stopped sleeping in a hotel for a long, long time.
Long may that continue. And then, well, I mean, all around the world, that's the song, that's it, isn't it? That's the defining moment from 89? Was that 89?
89, yeah.
89.
That was when it all went ridiculous. I suppose now you'd say it went viral or something.
Yeah, all around. I mean, it was literally
all
everywhere, wasn't it? All the big countries and the number ones and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it was really weird. I can't remember where I was, but I had like an hour to myself, so all I did. And I still do, actually, if I've got an hour to myself. I'll just go to the hotel room and do nothing. And so, Billboard, it was either Music Week or Billboard, was there. I don't know why, because I'd been doing interviews or something. And I just looked at international charts. And I was like number one in, like, I can't remember how many countries. And I just thought, because you don't have time to think and look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you look at this and you go, oh my God, I realise now why I'm so busy.
Was it scary?
Well, it wasn't. It was too busy to be scary.
To be scary, yeah.
So thank God it was too busy to be scary. I'd probably just gone home.
So when it all exploded, did you enjoy the whole craziness and the aspect of being
Yeah,
famous?
I did. I didn't really... that's the main thing, that I didn't really have time. I didn't have time to think about anything, which is a really good thing, because the only thing that I did think about was the next thing. Because as a musician, when you finish something, when you finish a record, it's finished. So everyone else listen to it, and it's yours. So when it's like you're always moving on to the next thing, because you want to use that. You want to stimulate, and you want to stimulate other people. And so all you're thinking about is the next thing. So if you don't know what's going on, you can get on with it. And it was quite good for me in that sense, in hindsight. But no, I didn't have any idea of how popular I was. And I just, honestly, this sounds really thick actually. But I really assumed that it was just really normal what was happening to me in the music business. So if you have a hit record, everybody does this.
Yeah.
Everybody wins awards. Everybody does whatever. Everybody gets flown first class all over the world, stay in the best hotels, never to be appreciated, by the way, because you can never actually enjoy them. And so, yeah, I assumed that every other artist was doing this. And every other artist probably hated me.
Well,
because I didn't appreciate it as well. I didn't appreciate it because I didn't have time to think about it. Yeah. Which was a good thing and a bad thing, I think.
Awards, Brits, Ivor Novello, I mean, the list goes on. Was that something that meant a lot to you, winning those awards? Did you like the recognition that those awards gave?
Well, yeah, because again, in hindsight, but at the time it was like, oh, I've got to go here to get an award. I've got to go here to get an award. Oh, no, I'm going to be so tired when, and it sounds horrible for somebody to say that. But when it's like this award, that award, that award, this award, you just think it's an award. Mm. And then when you look back on it, it's like, oh, look at it. Look at, like, when I go to the studio that we have, and we have all the awards. I
was going to say, where do you
in the cupboard?
Them? Yeah.
Yeah. And most of them were in my mum's house and Ian's mum's house. But yeah, most of them are at the studio now. And I just think it's quite astounding. It's quite astonishing.
It is. And your studio is up here? You live up here?
Yeah, it's in Rochdale.
Yeah?
Yeah, Gracieland.
Brilliant.
And it's a lovely place, actually. It's a lovely studio, and it's a sort of legendary studio. And a lot of people have recorded there. A lot of legends have recorded there.
Tell us.
Oh, Marquis Smith recorded tons of stuff there. It's there's a lot of older bands that have recorded there and still do, just because they like being there. It's sort of like a really homely place.
And you live up here. You sort of split your time between sort of here and London.
And London, yeah. Yeah, and I think it gives you a nice perspective on everything, because you see two sides to the UK coin, you know.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and it's nice because it keeps you in check. You know, if you spend too much time in London, especially if you're on your own, you become quite detached, which is fine, because when you need to think about things, it's absolutely fine. But when you come to the north, to Rochdale, to Manchester, wherever around here, it's a very, very warm place, and people expect to talk to each other, not just to doggedly just follow something and not look on the outside. And it's very, very refreshing. So that when you get your dose of the north, you're all ready to freak people out in the south because you're really, really nice. and you like to talk. Yeah, and then when you go back, it's like, oh my God, I can talk again.
I want to talk about the acting as well. Was that something that you'd always wanted to do, or was that a natural progression from you?
Yeah, I just love any form of expression. So, and I think anything that you have to sort of, I'm a real masochist, really, because I do tend to go right inside to get out whatever needs to come out. So it's quite cathartic, and it's sort of therapeutic in a way, but to do it is not very, very nice, and I don't know why I'm like that, but that challenges me as an actor or an actress. You're pulling things from yourself all the time, and sometimes it's quite painful, but you're treating yourself like you're your own therapist. Yeah. So it's very, very healthy for you, I think. Could be healthy or unhealthy, but
is there a
to
role,
me it's just a necessary.
Is there a role that you would quite fancy doing? Is there one that you think, oh, that's made for me, I'd love to do that?
I just love to go anywhere where I've not been in myself.
The reason I say that is that I remember years ago you mentioned on a TV show that I was watching that you'd always fancied being in Coronation Street, and you think that's a perfect fit. Lisa Stansfield, Corrie, yeah. Perfect, but it's never happened.
On paper, no, they wanted me to. I mean, I have been banging on about it forever. I mean, it was my first job was at Granada.
Yeah.
And they've never let me be on the show. The only time that they asked me, I think they asked me before, but it was too long, or I couldn't do it. And then the last time they offered me a part for 3 years. And it's like I said, I only want to go in the Rovers for
I want to order a drink.
Yeah.
Or be on the phone in the background,
yeah,
just kind of doing that. Yeah, because the songs have been played in the Rovers. And,
all the time.
All the time. Yeah. Let's get you on.
I'd love to do. That's all I keep saying. Please, Granada TV. I would just love to be a relative of somebody, or like an old friend of somebody who comes in. Can I stay at yours for a few weeks or something like that? And then fair enough.
Long lost sister.
Yeah, and I do.
can see that.
Whatever type of person they want me to play, I will do it, but within reason.
We'll make it happen, Lisa. We'll do it. We're going to sort this.
I just want to do it before I die.
Please. And you're on tour as well. Loads of dates all over the place.
Yeah.
Is that one thing that you really do enjoy as well, the touring?
I enjoy it more now because I used to get terribly homesick, but I think you just get used to it. And you psych yourself up like you're going to be away for 2-3 months, and you just say, right, well, I'm going to be away for 2-3 months, and then right now I'm exercising, I'm like singing every day.
Yoga?
No, not yoga.
No yoga.
But you just get into a mindset and you do it. And then you come back, and we'll come back next year. We'll do more music in Gracieland. Yeah, and that's just the way it is, and it's lovely. And and also I think now it's beautiful because everybody sees the internet as a negative, and I think it's an amazing positive. We're not making as much money as we used to, but we've got a lot more freedom to do what we want. And it's much more beautiful for younger people because they have a complete platform where nobody can tell them what to do. And I think as an artist, as a young artist, it's an imperative thing. You know, you really, really need to have your freedom. And that's why when you're fighting against people all the time for your integrity, you know, you need to use this and your emotions, and you're spending a lot of time just like trying to fight for it. So most of your brain power is being taken up by trying to get your message through, where your brain should be freer, and now it is for a lot of young people, because they don't have to answer to a lot of people.
And to stay true to
their own ideas and to their own vision of what they want.
Which is what you've done.
Well, hopefully, yeah. I mean, you can't see it, but my left leg's fallen off.
And you've stuck, but you've battled in and you've stayed in there.
No, you have to. It's like, you know, if you are responsible at first, the very first thing that you do, if you are not in control and you don't tell other people how it is done, then you may as well just throw it all down the toilet. And then your first fight is not necessarily your biggest fight because nobody knows who you are and cares who you are. But you've still got to have that vision, and to have the same vision intact is very difficult when you're like even 5 years or 10 years down the line. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for doing that. And I think other people are very proud of me as well.
Yes.
Because it's making a statement of life. Is like, I know what I want to do and I know other people like what I do, so please don't make me change it for anyone.
And you obviously still enjoy it, don't you? I mean,
yeah, I love it.
Just love it.
I write all the time. I mean, I want to write more. I want to write more stories, but bigger stories. I don't want to write song-sized stories. I want to get into my writing a lot more. Yeah.
Well, it's been so nice to meet you, honestly.
And I can't wait to do this tour. I really can't, because it's 30 years of my life, and I just want everyone who comes to any show on that tour, they've got their own memories and their own love. The reason why they love that album, Affection, and the music that I've made over the years. And I just want, when they're going to wherever they go to see me, that they feel what they felt when they fell in love with that record.
Yeah, most definitely. The pieces of, memories of it in time. And it's the 26th, which you'll...
the Lowry.
Yeah,
I love the Lowry.
And the Royal Albert Hall and all kinds of places.
Oh yeah, the Royal Albert Hall,
Beautiful.
31st of October.
Wow. It's been so nice
We
to
might
meet
all
you.
get locked in.
Thank you so much for today and your time. And we love you, Lisa.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful.